Hi lovely viewers and welcome back to the channel. In this video we are going to be discussing the impact of retrograde motion of the planet of Jupiter in the sign of Pisces for all zodiac signs and understand how this transit of the planet of luck is going to influence the events of your life. Let's start with the basic understanding of what the retrograde motion of Jupiter can signify in its own rule sign of Pisces. So, Jupiter being the planet of luck, optimism, benevolence, expansion, knowledge, and philosophy, being set in a backwards retrograde motion, can exhibit challenges in all these significations, and getting placed in the sign of Pisces can further show us that our hopes and wishes in relation to long distance travels to foreign places and even our journeys to rekindle and rediscover our spiritual identities can feel hindered because of this transit. Now, if you would like to know the detailed effects of this retrograde transit of Jupiter in Pisces for your zodiac sign, then keep watching further and please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on all new and exciting content coming up on this channel. Just recently, in the middle of the month of July, another major planet has set its motion retrograde, and that is the planet of Saturn in the sign of Capricorn. As Saturn and Jupiter are both slow-moving planets, any changes in their signs or direction of movement makes a substantial impact onto us. So, the retrograde impact of both of these planets can create a havoc potentially because of its cumulative effect. If you would like to know how this retrograde motion of Saturn can affect us collectively and even personally for your zodiac sign, then you will see a video pop up on the upper right hand side of the video screen, which will lead you to that video on the channel. So do watch that as well once you're done watching this one. A major theme when it comes to the astrology of the current transiting planets is the difficulty that we can face regarding traveling, be it for leisure or work or even education. The biggest contributor in this is the retrograde motion of Jupiter, which rules the 9th and 12th houses in astrology, which signifies long distance travel, and further the current transit of Rahu or North Node getting conjunct with the planet of Mars is not aiding to board any good news in terms of aviation and travel. Just look at the recent cases of travel cessations, delays and curbs that are being caused at the Heathrow airport in UK because of the flight and luggage congestion, and even the airline SpiceJet being in major water with the DGCA authority in relation to regulation and safety violations resulting in the curb of its fleet of airlines flying abilities. Now that we have seen briefly how the retrograde motion of Jupiter can affect us on a world or macro level, let's get on with personalized predictions for all zodiac signs. But before I begin, a few basics you must know is that with the planet of Jupiter, it becomes more important as to where it aspects in your chart rather than just the sign or house that it is placed in. So all the major planets in astrology have the 7th aspect given to them. But as Jupiter being a special planet gets 2 sets of special aspects as well. Wherever Jupiter is placed in your chart, it will have 3 aspects, which is the 5th, 7th and 9th aspect, which simply means that it will impact or influence the houses or planets that are placed 5, 7 and 9 places away from itself. We will be discussing these aspects when it comes to your personalized predictions, but you have to check the same not for the sign that your Jupiter is present in your birth or natal chart, but based on the ascendant or rising sign you have, and that's how we calculate all the transiting planets impact onto your chart. So with all these basics clear, we move ahead discussing the impact of retrograde Jupiter in Pisces for your zodiac sign, and to start off with the sign that will have the greatest impact from this motion, which is Pisces. So for Pisces natives, your ascendant lord Jupiter is going retrograde in your first house of self, and this can be a little problematic in some ways. Your ascendant lord shows the strength of your body and mind, and this now getting into retrograde motion shows that you might struggle with thoughts of self-doubt and body image issues that can potentially be onset because of some physical restrictions or incapacity caused because of you not feeling the best health-wise. So please stay careful regarding that prospect. But this doesn't need to only be a negative experience, because if you work towards overcoming these feelings, it can also be a start to a new shift in your identity and self-esteem. Then, when it comes to aspects, Jupiter from your first house makes the fifth aspect onto your fifth house and interacts with the transiting Sun until 16th August, after which the Sun moves into Leo. Now, what this aspect can signify for you is that your issues regarding self-belief and self-esteem can cause issues in your romantic relationships wherein you start feeling disconnected, or the experience of not feeling like yourself can start to impact your relationships, be it romantically or even if you have children, then with them as well. Now, if you are a student or doing some sort of preliminary education, then this can also signify you feeling disheartened because of some challenges with your studies that can cause you to become pessimistic about your academic prospects. So don't lose hope and keep working at it, because this motion will be direct in November, which will give you a renewed energetic outlook towards your education. Jupiter from your first house makes the seventh aspect onto your seventh house of partnerships, and it will interact with the transiting Mercury moving through the sign of Virgo until 26th October, when it finally moves into the sign of Libra. This aspect again can be positive and negative for your marriage or romantic relationships. It's positive in the sense that because of Mercury's transit through your seventh house can be the cause of better communication that is extremely articulate and precise, since it's going through the sign of Virgo. But it is also a possibility that it can be negative in the sense that these communications can turn critical and accusatory as well, causing the draining feeling of romance to set in. Other than the romantic part of this aspect, this can also be putting some troubles relating to networking for your business, which you will also have to sort out. Lastly, Jupiter from your first house aspects the ninth house with its ninth aspect, and as there is no planet right now transiting through the sign of Scorpio at this moment, so there is no other planet that this retro Jupiter is interacting with here. But nonetheless, the effect that this aspect will have is that if you are undergoing any higher educational course like a postgraduate degree or something of that sort, then the prospects of luck favoring you right now can be bleak, which means that you will have to work doubly hard to be able to maintain the same academic excellence or level that you are generally used to. This can also show the possibility of having some ups and downs with your father, possibly regarding your academic performance, or even could be for your religious or philosophical ideals. So overall, this transit mainly seems to be causing troubles in relation to your academic or romantic life. So don't lose hope and hang in there, because Jupiter goes direct on 24th of November, so you're going to feel much better about these prospects then. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comment section if these predictions have resonated with your experience until now. So, for Aries natives, this retrograde Jupiter is going to be transiting through your 12th house of losses and hospitalizations. This can make your expenses during this period to be risen rather than usual, and a possibility of the reason for it can be the challenges with health, which can lead to doctor appointments or hospital visits. Also, if you had any plans of traveling abroad or over a long distance, then such plans can also get delayed or simply cost more than you expected, hence leading to some sort of monetary loss. Then, when it comes to the aspects, Jupiter from your 12th house makes the 5th aspect onto your 4th house and interacts with the transiting Cancer Sun until the 16th of August, after which Sun moves into Leo. What this aspect can mean for you is that the possibility of something related to your home can prove to be challenging right now, be it some expansion or repair work that was slotted to happen at your house, or even if you had plans to move abroad and move out of your house, can see some sort of hindrances happen that can make you even reconsider your options. There's also the possibility of some sort of care that needs to be taken regarding your parents' health, possibly. Next, Jupiter from your 12th house makes the 7th aspect onto the 6th house, and it will interact with the transiting Mercury moving through the sign of Virgo until 26th of October, when it finally moves into the sign of Libra. What this aspect means for you is that health needs to be at the forefront of your mind, and any significations of Mercury in medical astrology, like the mental and the nervous system, needs to be looked after and taken special care of. This can also mean that though at your workplace you feel an uptake in the meetings or conversations taking place, yet there is also the possibility of running into disputes with your team members, which can cause a falling out and invariably make work tedious. Lastly, Jupiter from your 12th house aspects the 8th house with its 9th aspect, and as there is no planet right now transiting through the sign of Scorpio at the moment, so there is no other planet that this retro Jupiter is interacting with here. But nonetheless, the effect that this aspect will have is that your interest in taboo or occult subjects will increase, and also you might face some challenges with regards to any research projects undertaken for your educational pursuits. Sudden changes and unexpected events can be taking place during this retrogression for you. So for you, the main themes that will be impacted will have to be related to health. So be sure you are careful regarding that. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comment section if these predictions have resonated with your experience until now. So for Taurus natives, this retrograde Jupiter will be transiting through your 11th house of financial gains and network circle. This can show that the ease in your ability to catalyze your networking circles into higher financial gains is going to be hindered. Your relationship with your friends and elder siblings can get challenging during this period as well. Then when it comes to the aspects, Jupiter makes from your 11th house a 5th aspect onto the 3rd house and interacts with the transiting Cancer Sun until the 16th of August, after which Sun moves into Leo. What this means for you is that this challenge regarding not being able to rely on your network circle to help you financially is going to make you dig deeper into figuring out how to maneuver the situations you find yourself in. But this will also impact your self-esteem and self-efforts. This can also signify that you end up getting closer to your younger siblings than the elder ones during this phase, or even someone who stays close to you or has a regular sort of access to you. Next, Jupiter from your 11th house makes the 7th aspect onto your 5th house, and it will interact with the transiting Mercury moving through the sign of Virgo until 26th of October, when it finally moves into the sign of Libra. What this can mean for you is that the romance and fun quotient in your relationships can feel strained, causing you to sort of take a hiatus on the whole love life aspect and just put it on a back burner. It can also possibly be relating to your creative work, and being able to collaborate on those projects will get tedious. Also be careful regarding risky investments being made, which can cause you some losses in your business relationships. Lastly, Jupiter from your 11th house aspects the 7th house with its 9th aspect, and as there is no planet right now transiting through the sign of Scorpio at the moment, so there is no other planet that this retro Jupiter is interacting with here. But nonetheless, the effect that this aspect will have is that you can feel that your serious romantic or business relationships can feel strained, and hence you start to feel pessimistic about the possibilities of making those things happen organically. Don't back down from what you wish to accomplish just because you feel like you don't have any support right now and it's making you reconsider your decisions. Give yourself the space to be able to work out the things and do so with compassion for yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself right now. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comment section if these predictions have resonated with your experience until now. So, for Gemini natives, this retrograde Jupiter will be transiting through your 10th house of career and public perception. This can show that your luck with being in the good books of your superiors and the ability of being able to juggle your career and fun is going to get hindered, which can make you reconsider your professional path right now. Then when it comes to aspects, Jupiter from your 10th house makes the 5th aspect onto your 2nd house and interacts with the transiting Cancer Sun until 16th of August, after which the Sun moves into Leo. What this means for you is that some troubles at work are making you reconsider actually dipping into your monetary savings, and all of this pressure is ultimately even making you have conflicts with your family. Next, Jupiter from your 10th house makes the 7th aspect onto your 4th house, and it will interact with the transiting Mercury moving through the sign of Virgo until 26th of October, when it finally moves into the sign of Libra. Being a Gemini ascendant and having your ascendant Lord Mercury have this direct aspect from the retrograde Jupiter holds a significant impact onto you, which can manifest as having your self-esteem be linked to your home and family in a way that because of undergoing challenges at work, you are now more than ever depending on the support of your family to guide you through this transition. Lastly, Jupiter from your 10th house aspects the 6th house with its 9th aspect, and as there is no planet right now transiting through Scorpio at the moment, so there is no other planet that this retrograde Jupiter is interacting with here. But nonetheless, the effect that this aspect will have is that you can feel major transformations happening regarding your workplace equations, which are contributing to your disputes and displeasure only escalating to result in some sudden or unexpected changes in your career. So for you Geminis, the major themes for this transit is regarding work difficulties and family dynamics. So stay strong and lean on to your family for supporting you through this turbulent time professionally. Not all is lost. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comment section if these predictions have resonated with your experience until now. So for Cancer natives, this retrograde Jupiter will be transiting through your 9th house of religion, philosophy, long distance travels, and higher education. This can show that if you are pursuing any higher education degree like a postgrad and even planning to go abroad to pursue the same, then such prospects can right now prove to be bleak, and hindrances will be encumbered on your journey to achieve that. This can also show the possibility of you questioning your religious or spiritual or philosophical identity, which can also lead to some rifts with your father that's resulting into some sort of misunderstanding. Then when it comes to the aspects, Jupiter from your 9th house makes the 5th aspect onto your 1st house and interacts with the transiting Cancer Sun until 16th of August, after which Sun moves into Leo. This is a major transit since this is impacting your 1st house and also your Sun for now, which finds directional strength being placed in the 1st house. What this can mean for you is that this academic trouble or religious identity crisis is causing you to doubt your self-esteem and is even impacting your health negatively. Your thoughts of academic inadequacy can right now inculcate a deep sense of insufficiency, which you cannot separate from your sense of self. Next, Jupiter from your 9th house makes the 7th aspect onto the 3rd house, and it will interact with the transiting Mercury, moving through the sign of Virgo until 26th of October, when it finally moves into sign of Libra. What this means for you is that the fun and joy of trying things and believing in yourself is getting taken away from you, which can even impact your social life and interactions. You are tending to want to be alone and can be filled with the feelings of envy and self-doubt regarding the adequacy of your efforts, and this can be detrimental to the communicational channel in your relationships. Lastly, Jupiter from your 9th house aspects the 5th house with its 9th aspect, and as there is no planet right now transiting through the sign of Scorpio at the moment, so there is no other planet that this retro Jupiter is interacting with here. But nonetheless, the effect that this aspect will have is that some hidden changes or unexpected events could be catalyzing your academic pursuits and leading to all this turmoil regarding academic excellence and even pour into your personal romantic relationships. You need to separate your academic performance from your sense of self and belief and not let it affect all the other facets of your life as well, since those are major themes of the impact of this retrograde Jupiter for you. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comment section if these predictions have resonated with your experience until now. So for Leo natives, this retrograde Jupiter will be transiting through your 8th house of transformations, endings, sudden changes, and secrets. This can mean that you will find the energies that get triggered during this retrograde motion of Jupiter to impact the events in your life in such an unexpected fashion that it can be hard to accept those changes and transform into the new circumstances that life is putting forth for your ascension into a different plane ultimately. Then, when it comes to the aspects, Jupiter from your 8th house makes the 5th aspect onto your 12th house and interacts with the transiting Cancer Sun until 16th of August, after which Sun moves into Leo. As a Leo, which is ruled by the Sun and your ascendant lord moving 12 places away from itself into the house of hidden illnesses and losses, can have two possibilities. One is that some sudden news about having an illness or disease can come forth in an unexpected way, which can cause you to have to visit a hospital, and the other being that these sudden changes in your life are pushing you towards being more spiritual and giving in life as you start to move deeper into occult and spirituality. Next, Jupiter from your 8th house makes the 7th aspect onto your 2nd house, and it will interact with the transiting Mercury through the sign of Virgo until 26th of October, when it finally moves into the sign of Libra. What this can mean for you is that your focus is being moved towards understanding your finances and being able to take risks in order to change your investment strategies, and also the general contact you have with your family members can see some sort of shift in its dynamic. Lastly, Jupiter from your 8th house aspects the 4th house with its 9th aspect, and as there is no planet right now transiting through Scorpio at the moment, so there's no other planet that this retro Jupiter is interacting with here. But nonetheless, the effect that this aspect will have is that your relations with your family are going to be impacted unless you put in the efforts to reach out and mend those. So be careful regarding that prospect and focus on being able to imbibe and accept the changes being introduced in your life, as well as your health in general, as that is the major energy being expressed for this retrograde Jupiter transit for you. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comment section if these predictions have resonated with your experience until now. So, for Virgo natives, this retrograde Jupiter will be transiting through your 7th house of romantic and business partnerships. What this signifies is that you can feel some misunderstanding creep up during the period of this transit, which can make you feel alienated or disconnected from your partner. You can get the feeling of the differences between you and your partner to magnify and escalate during this time. Then, when it comes to aspects, Jupiter from your 7th house makes the 5th aspect onto your 11th house and interacts with the transiting Cancer Sun until 16th of August, after which Sun moves into Leo. What this aspect means is that this turmoil in your most intimate relations can cause you to feel the joy even drain out from the interactions that you have with your network circle and friends. And when it comes to business, then this can make your networking and being able to catalyze the process of acquiring higher gains and expanding feel restricted. Next, Jupiter from your 7th house makes the 7th aspect onto your 1st house, and it will interact with the transiting Mercury moving through the sign of Virgo until 26th of October, when it finally moves into the sign of Libra. Being a Virgo, the sign where Mercury feels exalted and the most powerful, and that coming into your 1st house of self during this transit can feel invigorating, and this can show the dependence you felt on your romantic and business partners can seem to start to impact even your self-image. But you will start to get into the mindset of relying more so on yourself than any of your prior go-to people. Lastly, Jupiter from your 7th house aspects the 3rd house with its 9th aspect, and as there is no planet right now transiting through the sign of Scorpio at the moment, so there is no other planet that this retro Jupiter is interacting with here. But nonetheless, the effect that this aspect will have is that your efforts, your self efforts, are going to increase because, as I said before, you will start to rely lesser on the people who you would usually turn to. And this can also make you toil harder than before to achieve the gap you feel widening in your life, to occupy yourself wholly rather than move into rectifying and solving issues which comes naturally to you. So for Virgos, this transit is basically making you feel a bit disconnected from your surroundings and support group to push you to rely more so on yourself and expand and redirect the energy that you give others to heal yourself first. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comment section if these predictions have resonated with your experience until now. So, for Libra natives, this retrograde Jupiter will be transiting through your sixth house of diseases, enemies, and debts. This can mean that these areas of your life can see struggles wherein you might feel a little off your game health-wise, and this can be a cause of concern since your sixth house is impacting your 12th house and the second house, which can show the possibility of you having to visit hospitals and have some sort of restrictions or transformations happen regarding your eating patterns even. This can also show the possibility of the fact that due to some issues regarding a debt that you have incurred, which would have been hard to pay off because of some reason, you can feel inclined to dip into your financial savings to be able to make mandatory installments happen. This also shows the possibility of the fact that since this retro Jupiter in the 6th house is impacting your 10th house of career through the 5th aspect, so you can have run-ins with your superiors even regarding some tension that is brewing behind your back with your colleagues at the workplace. Your leadership skills can be questioned and ridiculed by some slighted co-workers during this transit. Make sure to have the back of your superiors so that by the virtue of being in their good books, you are able to tide the storm at work. Also, when it comes to the 7th aspect that this retro Jupiter is making onto your 12th house of losses and interacts with the Mercury, which can show that you might have to face challenges with your partners, and an issue pertaining to communication can even possibly lead to the demise of that relationship or just cause some sort of break. This is also significant because this can have a negative impact onto your mental health, so be careful regarding that as well. Lastly, when it comes to the 9th aspect of this retro Jupiter onto your 2nd house of financial savings, shows that you need to be wise with how you want to use your savings in order to be able to rid yourself of the burden of incurred debt. Also, this decision to be able to pay off the debt through monetary savings can come very suddenly and cause a major transformations into your finances and savings, which you need to be cognizant of. Libras, focus on your finances and your career because these things seem to be the focus for you in this transit of retrograde Jupiter. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comment section if these predictions have resonated with your experiences until now. So, for Scorpio natives, this retrograde Jupiter will be transiting through your 5th house of romance, children, preliminary education, and risky investments. This means that there's a prospect for you to have amplified hurdles in the realm of all these significations that I've mentioned. A strong energy that is coming forth in relation to the struggle with education and even religious or spiritual or philosophical ideals that are making you reconsider your self-identity in relation to these concepts. Then when it comes to aspects, Jupiter from your 5th house makes the 5th aspect onto your 9th house and interacts with the transiting Cancer Sun until 16th of August, after which it moves into the sign of Leo. What this means is that your confidence when it comes to your academic performance or excellence is right now being questioned and debated over by you. The pressure of academics can have you doubting your abilities. This can also signify that if you had plans to move to a foreign place in order to study, to pursue any higher educational degrees, then the prospect of that happening will be difficult and be ridden with obstacles. Next, Jupiter from your 5th house makes the 7th aspect onto your 11th house, and it will interact with the transiting Mercury moving through the sign of Virgo until 26th of October, when it finally moves into the sign of Libra. What this means for you is that if you are facing some issues with maintaining the peace in your romantic relations, can even start to impact your network circle because of the disagreements between you and your partner. This can also mean from a financial standpoint that the riskier investments you have made are not being as financially rewarding as you would have expected them to, which is impacting your portfolio. Lastly, Jupiter from your 5th house aspects the 1st house with its 9th aspect, and as there is no planet right now transiting through Scorpio at the moment, so there is no other planet that this retro Jupiter is interacting with here. But nonetheless, the effect that this aspect will have is that all these troubles regarding relationships, finances, and education can even make you to start to doubt your own self-image and abilities, and this can make you mull over religious and spiritual beliefs and identity. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comment section if these predictions have resonated with your experiences until now. So, for Sagittarius natives, this retrograde Jupiter will be transiting through your 4th house of family and home. This shows that the possibility of you finding some roadblocks when it comes to expanding your family unit or your family home can be expected. Your focus invariably will be attracted towards the matters of the home, since they are going to be needing your focus to stay afloat. Then, when it comes to the aspects, Jupiter from your 4th house makes the 5th aspect onto your 8th house and interacts with the transiting Cancer Sun until 16th August, after which the Sun moves into Leo. This shows that there could be a possibility regarding some secrets about your family dynamics or a project that you can uncover during this time, which will make you withdraw from the connection you feel that you need to strike with your family. You can feel the depth of your emotions greatly during this period, which can border on some dark thoughts in this transit. This can even manifest as something along the lines of gains from family inheritance or insurance that can get delayed because of hurdles. Next, Jupiter from your 4th house makes the 7th aspect onto your 10th house, and it will interact with the transiting Mercury moving through the sign of Virgo until 26th of October, when it finally moves into the sign of Libra. What this means for you is that the luck you felt when it came to networking at work with your superiors can seem to be fading away, as the relations and fun that you found at work slowly is starting to fade in its charm, which doesn't feel the best for your professional prospects at the moment. Lastly, Jupiter from your 4th house aspects the 12th house with its 9th aspect, and as there is no planet right now transiting through the sign of Scorpio at the moment, so there is no other planet that this retro Jupiter is interacting with here. But nonetheless, the effect that this aspect will have is that some loss can be experienced of the optimism you hold inherently as a sign that is also ruled by the planet of Jupiter. Your general outlook can get a bit pessimistic during this phase of the transit, which can make you question your spiritual ideals and identity. There can also be some sort of possibility for you or a very close member of your family, which can maybe be your father even, to require some medical assistance during this time. Please take care of that and sort through your feelings of pessimism and hopelessness, as these seem to be the main themes appearing for your experience of this transit. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comment section if these predictions have resonated with your experience until now. So, for Capricorn natives, this retrograde Jupiter will be transiting through your 3rd house of self-doubts and communication. The presence of a benevolent planet in a malevolent or malefic house, which signifies hardships and hard work, can mean that this transit is going to make you work for your luck, as nothing will be handed to you easily. You can feel the sense of same tasks as before, taking more effort to execute similarly. This can also give rise to chances of miscommunications and misunderstandings with the people that are closest to you. Then, when it comes to aspects, Jupiter from your third house makes the fifth aspect onto your seventh house and interacts with the transiting Cancer Sun until 16th of August, after which the Sun moves into Leo. This shows the clear significations that there can be instances of miscommunications creeping into your romantic and business partnerships that are zapping away the fun from it. And if you don't put efforts into going the extra mile to ensure that no miscommunications happen, then the peace and comfort in these equations can be ruined. Next, Jupiter from your third house makes the seventh aspect onto your ninth house, and it will interact with the transiting Mercury moving through the sign of Virgo until 26th of October, when it finally moves into the sign of Libra. This clearly shows that any instances for you to travel, be it nearby or far off in a foreign place, is going to be harder to follow through at this time. And also, if you are undertaking a postgraduate degree course or any sort of higher educational course, then the chances of you having to put extra efforts to stay afloat academically is going to be a very probable outcome during this transit. Lastly, Jupiter from your third house aspects the 11th house with its ninth aspect, and as there is no planet right now transiting through Scorpio at the moment, so there is no other planet that this retro Jupiter is interacting with here. But nonetheless, the effect that this aspect will have is that your financial expectations of generating exponential profits can be affected right now, because no matter the amount of extra effort and work that you put into your networking, the progress financially is not panning out as how you would like it to be, which can also prompt you to take some drastic measures. Focus on your communication and working hard towards your goals, as these seem to be the themes for your experience during this transit. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comment section if these predictions have resonated with your experience until now. Last but not the least, for Aquarius natives, this retrograde Jupiter will be transiting through your second house of financial security and family. This means that for you, there are themes of some family finances and even your own finances which are going to be the point of contention and debate within the family, causing disruption in the calmness quotient you generally seem to keep. Then, when it comes to the aspects, Jupiter from your second house makes the fifth aspect onto your sixth house and interacts with the transiting Cancer Sun until 16th of August, after which the Sun moves into the sign of Leo. This aspect can show that you need to be careful regarding your eating habits, because there can be a possibility leading you to have some health issues during this phase of the transit. This also shows that the possibility of the fact that you need to be able to manage your financial security to be able to deal with your woes with monetary debt right now. Next, Jupiter from your second house makes the seventh aspect onto your eighth house, and it will interact with the transiting Mercury moving through the sign of Virgo until 26th of October, when it finally moves into the sign of Libra. This means that your family equations are greatly going to influence any possible benefits that you are expecting to receive from your family. They can be involved somehow in the elements of tax and insurance regarding your personal matters. Have an open and clear communication channel regarding these topics with your family members. You can experience hindrances in receiving any expected or even unexpected gains from finances of even your partner and family. Lastly, Jupiter from your third house aspects the 10th house with its ninth aspect, and as there is no planet right now transiting through Scorpio at the moment, so there is no other planet that this retro Jupiter is interacting with here. But nonetheless, the effect that this aspect will have is that these financial issues are even making you contemplate your professional possibilities, which are seeing some drastic and major transformations, which will prompt you to rediscover and reevaluate your financial security. So be careful regarding all these matters pertaining to money mainly, since that is one of the major focuses for you during this transit. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comment section if these predictions have resonated with your experience until now. And with all these personalized predictions, I come to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I would love to hear if these predictions have resonated with you for your sign. Sound off in the comment section below. And also check out the Saturn retrograde video, as it will give you a better rounded off perspective about the changes and the results of the retrogradation for both of these slow moving planets of Jupiter and Saturn. I will be releasing the monthly predictions for the month of August very soon, so stay tuned for that as well. Take care, you all, and hope you have a great month of August.